Monday, everybody. Any questions before we get started? For Wednesday, please read the essay, 2 Ways of Seeing a River by Mark Twain. I have it here in the announcement. So this is for Wednesday. We're going to look at block comparison in terms of organization for comparison and contrast using his essay. So let's look at what's coming up in assignments. For Thursday, you're working on the annotated bibliography. So you've already read about your topic, narrowed down what you're going to talk about. Okay. So there's a page in the video that discusses what an annotated bibliography is right here. So let's look at this video that talks about it. Let me blow it up here.
Warning, this tutorial could contain any of the following. May not be suitable for lower primates, circus folk, or cephalopods. So, just what the heck is an annotated bibliography? Let's break it down. Bibliography is Greek for book writing, which is a very funny way of describing a list made up of books. Annotate is Latin for to add notes to, which isn't really funny at all. To put it back together, annotated bibliographies are lists of books with notes. Nowadays, bibliographies can contain things other than just books, such as articles or anything else that contains information. Annotated bibliographies consist of 3 major parts: a citation, a summary, and an annotation. The citation occupies 1 or 2 lines and conforms to whatever style your teacher assigns. The summary should be
That's MLA for us.
To give the reader an idea what your source is all about. The annotation is the rest, the meat of the assignment. This is where you give your source a big, sloppy word kiss. You heard me. I said word kiss. You'll say why the source is great and how it ties into your final project. Nobody has ever enjoyed writing an annotated bibliography. They're tedious, detail-oriented, time-consuming, and less interesting than some other things. They also make you think really hard, which can be painful. If annotated bibliographies aren't any fun, then why do we need to write them? I'm glad I asked. For the same reason everybody else has ever had to write one. Because your teacher said so, and you want to get a good grade. Your teacher is making you do this because writing an annotated bibliography forces you to do your research early. It also encourages you to be selective, to think about each source you choose, and to help you complete your final project on time. As if all these reasons weren't enough, this assignment is also a sneaky way of getting you to learn about research. Sure, we could just tell you the things you'll learn while writing an annotated bibliography, but we think it's much better to learn by doing, instead of listening to some jerk drone on and on, like we are in this video.
Okay. And so this is the written out version of it here. So basically you're going to have, like he said, 3 parts. So let's look at the example for the exercise. So You're going to give me 6 of your possible sources. Now, this does not mean you have to use them, but you should be considering them for your next paper, which basically is going to explain both sides of your controversy. Okay. So at least 2 has to be from 2010 or later. I mean, the more recent they are, the better in general. Okay. Eventually, you're going to have 8 to 10 sources for your research paper, which is the next paper we do. You can use interviews, but just up to 2 of them. Okay. So basically, those 3 components they're talking about are the MLA information. Okay. So this is what it would look like. Here's your research question. You're going to give that to me. You worked on that for assignment 1. So this research question addresses the controversy. Should the United States Department of Agriculture should continue to promote the consumption of hot dogs and nutritional pamphlets, and should they say they're nutritious, basically? So then we have the MLA information right here. Then basically what the article is about in a couple sentences, and then why they chose this article. Okay. Videos, it can be more than 2 sources of videos. Interviews are, sometimes I have students who have connections that are relevant to the topic they're doing. So for example, if you're doing drug courts, I had someone who was a stenographer for a drug court. So she was able to interview a judge who worked on a drug court. I had somebody who was interning for a police department. So he was able to interview the head of the police department about non-lethal weapon use. Okay. So that's what interviews talk about. That would be where you develop questions and ask them of an individual, either through email or in person. You can also do email interviews. Videos you can use as well. I mean, you probably want the transcript. But I'm asking you to think about why you're choosing the source, and then I'm asking you to show me why you chose it for the last piece of information. So you're going to have basically, 3 to 4 sentences, a couple that summarize the source. So in this one, Franklin lists and summarizes books and articles written about hot dogs. She does not take a clear stand on the nutritional value. So this is basically just a source that gathers information about hot dogs. Okay. This article can serve as a guide to other sources. Sometimes you choose a source not because what the content in it is valuable to your paper, but because it refers to other sources that gave you more leads. Okay. This is an old article, but hot dogs are hot again. The article demonstrates that consumption of hot dogs is increasing because that establishes the importance of a problem. If there's only one person eating hot dogs, do we really care if the Department of Agriculture is talking about it? Not really. But if a lot of people are, and it's like eating in schools and lunch programs, then it's a worthy topic to talk about because it affects a lot of people. So this article could be used to establish the importance of the issue. So don't forget, you also want to do things like that when you are, why is it important that we talk about your topic? Because it affects a lot of people, because it will be important in the future, because it can help the economy. Think about those things in your background information that you're going to give us. Okay. Why is this problem important to address? So you might find a source that talks about that. Okay. So basically that's what yours will look like, only you will have 6 sources following this. So if you want, you can copy and paste this format and then put it into your Word document and just replace it with your information. So you'll have your sharpened research question. What is the controversy regarding the Dreamers Act in America? Okay. And then you have 6 sources that talk about it and tell me, maybe one of them provides an argument for why it would help the economy, and one provides an argument for why it would hurt the economy. So that it's going to help you look at, this source will help me look at what the advocates say about the Dreamers Act. This source will help me look at one of the reasons people are against the Dreamers Act. Okay. You guys follow me so far? Any questions about this? This is your next assignment coming up. So hopefully you found some sources when you were looking through. If not, you want to start gathering them up. Okay. So remember, you're going to start at the library, please, not with Google. Maybe eventually Google or Google Scholar. Okay. But please start at the library. You spent some time in opposing viewpoints. Now you can go to the Primo Discovery Service. I recommend, since you're doing current controversies, that you start with articles instead of books. But books offer a good perspective as well because they have sort of a longer view because it takes longer to write a book. An article you can have written in a week. A book generally takes a year or more to develop and get published. Oh, it looks like it's slow today, the Primo Discovery Service. But don't forget, when you start your search, you have to go up here in the search bar and choose articles instead of books. Okay? And then you type in your topic, provided it lets you in. So don't wait till the last minute to do your research in case this is happening that day. A lot of people are accessing it. There we go. Okay, so it says search anything. Just remember, okay, that you're going to have to choose what you're looking at. In this case, you want to look at articles first, or the EBSCOhost databases, either one. Okay, so if you click on the search thing, it'll let you choose. Now, eventually, you may want to look for books. Okay, actually, probably you do want to look for some books in case you have to request them from other libraries. So do that as soon as possible. But for this assignment, start with the articles. Okay, so let's look at marijuana legalization. And of course, way too many to search. So you go over here, you want stuff that's available online. I gotta sign in. What else do we do to narrow down? How else do we narrow down the results? I narrowed it down to online. How about adding another topic up here? I already signed in, machine. So it's got to be available online. Get some peer review journals first, get those out of the way. So we'll narrow that down, we'll apply those filters. I don't know why it makes you apply the filters, but yeah, you have to come down here and actually click on it. And so now I've already got it down to 4,000 results. Subject, you know, do I want cannabis? Do I want marijuana? Drug use, abuse, substance abuse, medical marijuana? Let's talk about drug legalization, right? So you just continue narrowing it down. Creation date. I don't want things from the 80s because it's not relevant. So I'm going to do, let's see, 2000. Let's try 2015 and see how much we can narrow it down. $300. So then you can keep whittling it away depending on what you're looking for. Okay. So this is like, how does marijuana legalization affect how much adolescents use it? It may not still be legal for them to use it. So if we click on the source, okay, and remember, you need a citation for it. So the first thing I would do for the annotated bibliography is choose. Now, which one are we using? We're using MLA 7th edition. This is the one. And then you can copy it to a clipboard and paste it into your document. Okay, then you've already got that part done. So you might want to find your 6 sources, copy them all down, and then go back. And then you do not just copy and paste the summary of your article. Okay, you want to summarize it in your own words. And then tell me why you picked it for your paper. How do you think? Whenever you have the chance, please choose the PDF version because that allows you to use stable page numbers. Okay, so anybody who clicks on the PDF is going to see exactly the same page numbers. So then you can refer to page numbers and make it easier for people to find what you're talking about. Okay. Don't forget, if they've referenced sources, this could lead you to other sources, so you can check that. How does marijuana legalization affect the prevalence of marijuana use among adolescents? It's an interesting question, right? Okay, Camilla, we'll start with you guys in just a second. So, does anyone have any questions about what you're going to do for the annotated bibliography that is due on the 25th? Everyone good? So it's going to look just like this. You put your research question and then 6 sources that you may potentially use for your paper. Thank you, Tristan. Okay. And how do you find this? Remember the upcoming assignments that will be submitted on Brightspace are here. Okay. With the instructions, you just click on it and they'll come up. And to submit. All right. We'll have our last group go. Be good review for the paper coming up. Who's going to share their screen?
Oh, well.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second.
Sometimes you have to go down to the bottom and hover before the commands will come up. Are you doing okay, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's just not cooperating. I'm trying to figure it out real fast.
There we go. Fire when ready.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Today we have MLA style, just explaining how, what it is and how to use it and why is it used so frequently in today's school and education system today. Um, so the MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, and it's just an organization based on literature and language, and it's just well known throughout a lot of schools and a lot of universities because it's for its pretty much its simple format and reader friendly focus. And it's very easy for a lot of younger children to develop and just learn it and like, I don't know, just understand it and like implement it really fast. It's often used where a lot of university and professors ask when students cite their sources in MLA style just for its just simple ability to do it and its easy way to understand it for the reader and as well as the writer on both stands. It's just easier for both. And it's also used for humanity subjects such as language, literature, and liberal arts. So it's not really used for like your sciences or your math. Those are usually more for your sciences. It's more like APA format where it's just a little bit more complex and it adds just a little bit more than MLA does. Uh, And yeah, so it's more of like your English, like you're more of your English like this class, or just language in general on that side of like your schooling. It's more so for that side of like the school and how it goes. Good. Like I said, it's generally simpler and just more concise in other styles. Everything is more laid out right in front of you. It's not too much hiding or anything like that. All right, like you said, you don't need a cover page and anything like that. It's nothing like that. You don't have an abstract like APA format or like just basically a page before describing what's going on, what's in your paper. It's kind of like you just kind of dive right into your paper. And no warm up or anything. You just go straight into it. And like I said, it's just easier to read for a lot of people and easy to learn as well, which is why it's implemented so much. Uh, to do intake citations, everything for the most part is done in parentheses depending on what source you're using, whether it's a book or online source. It's always at the end of the sentence, and it's very simple. You just use the author's name and the page number, article number, or you use the page number if it has multiple pages, whether it's an article link or a book. And if it only has one page, then you use the paragraph number. It just depends on the source. And at the bottom, we have an example. Human beings have been. Oh, I can't see it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go back. Oh, I can't see that last word because it's covering it up. Humans have been described as simple using animals, and it's from Burke. That's the name of the author, and then most likely I'm gonna take that as it's from the third page of that book. It's very simple. Just use the author's name and page number. Just let them know this came from here. The author's last name is Burke, and it came from this page number. It's just really simple, and you know exactly where it's coming from. And then at the end, you also have a link or just a bigger citation of where's the big picture where it came from. But right there in the text, it shows like where whose words are these and what page from their words it came from, if that makes sense. I don't know if Camilla want to take over and want to do the last two pages. Let's do that.
The paper needs to be white and the size is 8 1. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say that, but the margin has to be 1 inch, and the paragraphs is 2.0. The sentence must begin 1/2 inch from the left margin. Yeah, double space, the paragraph that I said, and the font sizing MLA. The font should be Arial or Times New Roman. This is the more often. The font size can be can be can variate, but the most often is 12 points font size. In the title page, there is an order. The first one is your full name, and after that the instructor name and the name of the course of class, and in the end is the assignment's due date. And here is our names and your name, professor, and the course and the due date. And Alex will send here in the chat the quiz, so everybody can do it.
Yeah, I just sent the chat and the quiz. The quiz in the chat. Oh my gosh, it's too early.
So you want them to put their answers in the chat.
Yeah, do you want that Jonathan share the screen or not? Like with
Where's your quiz located? I mean, are you going to ask the questions, or do you have them on the slides, or how are you doing the quiz?
there is a link, and you submit the.
Okay, and Jonathan, stop sharing your screen for us.
Okay.
And everybody can click on the link. And then they just go ahead and take the quiz.
Yes, it's pretty short. It's about 5 questions. So.
All right. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about the MLA format? We'll review it briefly before you turn in your next first draft. But make sure that you remember everything that you talked about in the presentation and you know where to look for information. Now I want to talk about comparison and contrast, which is the technique you'll be using for the next paper. And that involves looking at 2 or more things and discussing their similarities and differences. You guys read the chapter in subjects and strategies. So the first thing I want to talk about is establishing criteria, and then we'll translate that and how to establish criteria for your paper. So criteria are the standards we use to judge things. Okay. So, and a lot of, I mean, we basically use comparison and contrast every day. So what criteria do you use to decide what to eat for lunch? You can post your answers in the chat. How do you decide what you're going to eat? What are the factors that you use to evaluate? Yeah, what's available? Yeah, that's a good one. So availability. Yeah, what are you feeling like that day? What do you feel like eating? Are you in the mood, right, for a sandwich? So mood, what would we call it that? So availability, mood, what else? Anything else come into play for you? I mean, it's going to vary according to the situation too, depending on whether you're home, whether you're going out to eat, right? Whether you're eating on campus, whether you have practice or not. Like, do you need to eat like different food? If you tell me more about that, Jonathan, like, what would you eat if you have practice versus if you don't? What do you eat if you have to practice that day? Because of the nutrition or lack of nutrition or too many carbs, or are you looking at the nutrition or the energy? So that can be one factor, right? Especially for a lot of you who are athletes. What is available? What do you feel like eating? What's going to help you be successful in your sport or in your day? What about cost? Anybody consider that one? Like if you're going out to eat? So those are all criteria that we can come up with. Anything else? You want to put on our list? So then we have to look at each of those things, right? So if you're going to compare the costs of, say, I don't know, what are two fast food restaurants that are popular? You guys pick them out. Anybody eat fast food anymore? I haven't been out a lot, so if you had to choose two fast food restaurants, what would they be? McDonald's and DQ. Okay, good. So those are good choices because they have similar types of food. It would be hard to compare, say, McDonald's to Taco Bell because then it doesn't have the same sort of food. Yeah, Burger King. Yeah, So you want to compare comparable things. If you're going to compare Taco Bell, you probably want to compare it to some place that serves similar food, but even comparing it to a sit-down restaurant would be different than comparing it to fast food. So make sure that things are in the same realm. It's not really fair to compare like a comedy to a drama because they have different goals, right? You can't just say, well, I like this show because it's funnier. Well, the drama's not particularly trying to be funnier. So you need criteria that they're both trying to meet in order to judge them fairly, right? Now, how does this translate to your paper? Well, you're explaining both sides of the controversy, right? So you need the criteria that you're using to judge the controversy. So just like you would compare the fast food restaurants on price, taste, maybe freshness, customer service, cleanliness, what else? Selection. So those would be all the criteria using to compare that. For your topic, for your research paper, you're going to compare them on, so let's, go back to my steadfast immigrant Dreamers one. How does the Dreamers Act affect the American economy, society, government, maybe? And then underneath those, you could come up with a couple more specific reasons. So it affects the economy in these ways. So you look at the economy and how it is affected by having it, and then you compare how it's affected by not having it. You guys following me? So, but if you establish your criteria, yeah, that's an excellent question, Maria. Yeah, like they've made sort of, they didn't used to have apples and Happy Meals when I was a kid. It was just fries. So they've made sort of attempts to sort of be healthier. They've added salads and a few things to the menu, but still there are a lot of problems with nutrition, right? So you could compare, fast food restaurants around the world or in the United States for which one's healthier. And then who said Subway? You do Subway Camilla versus Quiznos. Maybe one has healthier food. So yeah, it depend on the criteria you're using. So that's what you want to think about in terms of using it for your paper is what criteria are you going to judge this issue on? All right, we're about out of time. I'm going to open up another session for questions. If you need help with your topic or coming up with your criteria, please come talk to me. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about comparison and contrast, and we'll start talking about how to get your sources into your paper effectively. Okay, so I will either see you in a minute here or I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.